Yeah, I started about the same time. I started about in 2020. Found a certain creator. I'm not gonna say no names.
Think I know who.
I'm not gonna say no names. But I did find a certain creator, and it was because I found that creator, and then I ended up dealing with manifesting a person that I probably shouldn't have tried to manifest. And I applied the same logic. Like, I applied everything that was said, but my circumstances got worse with that person. To
Mm.
the point where in which I ended up with a situation that I can't say on here without raising a red flag. And I tried to ignore that and avoid it and affirm over it. But it was because my self concept wasn't what it is today.
Right.
That I just kept myself in that feedback loop in which I would manifest him back, and then I would lose him, manifest him back, and then I would lose him. But it would always end the same way of me bringing up that situation. Be like, I remember what you did, but I'm like, wait, why is it always ending like this? And it wasn't until like 2023, and I was like, yeah, we're not doing this. I'm not doing this. Like, I can't do this no more. This is done. Like, I'm not. And I always felt like there was something missing with the LA community. And so in 2021, I ended up going back. I decided, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back to school. Something's missing. I don't know what's missing, but something's missing because they're not talking about trauma. They're not talking about they're not talking about the things that I feel like we need to, like, people really need to heal, like the people that need to, like, work on. And so I was looking for a school that offered quantum physics and neuroscience, but I couldn't find it.
Right, right.
Bachelor's degree. I was like, I really want to study this, but I can't find it. And the first school that popped up when you looked for it, the first school that you popped up when I was looking for it was the school that I ended up graduating from last year.
Nice.
So my degree ended up being a holistic psychology, with specialization in expressive art therapy, double minor in cognitive neuroscience and photography. Yeah, you
Awesome.
you could say that I manifested this because up until this point, all the schools that I had gone to before were just not it. Like, I would start it, not finish it, start it, not finish it. I actually finished it. And what I loved about the school was that it gave me the experience. Like, a lot of what I learned was like, oh, experience. Oh, not only is it giving me experience, but I'm using what I'm learning in LOA and I'm writing papers about it while helping myself heal. Like, I healed more
Right.
writing papers about myself and LOA and all of the other topics than I did in therapy.
That's interesting. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. And what I loved about you and finding you is that you touched upon Ho'oponopono. So last year, I learned about a little bit of Ho'opono in school. So what I did was I applied some of what you said about Ho'oponopono, but I also applied what I was learning in my master's degree in mindfulness with metta meditation. So I was using Ho'oponopono, the metta meditation, the Heart Sutra, and revision for like a good, like, 90 days. And I ended up writing a paper for it. And I'm using that as my framework for my thesis.
Wow. So that was those four things. I think it was four. What you just said, that was basically your routine for, you said, like 90 days straight. Damn. And you were pretty diligent with that. Like
I was diligent. I did that every day for 90 days straight.
you didn't miss one day.
Did not miss one day.
I don't think, to all the viewers out there that are going to see this, what she just said, you have no idea how hard it is to do what she just did. Literally 99.9% of the people can't do what you just did basically for 90 days straight and whatever it is. So kudos to you.
Yeah. Once I put a plan out there, I'm like, no, we're not. I'm not going to do it. But that framework really did help set the path, and it really did help. And even though I might have gotten some contradictory circumstances along the way, because I ended up having a new SP. I do have a new one, but he's not toxic.
Right.
He's not toxic. um, but in the process of me having to work on those, doing that, and even though I got the contradictory circumstances with my ex SP trying to start a court case against me and putting an order of protection against me, I was like, wait, how are you doing this? But you're the one that comes back to me. I'm confused. So I got petty because he did it around my graduation time. The time that I graduated, I got petty and I was like, you know what? Yes, I did this work, but what we're not going to do is sit here acting like you didn't do anything. And what we're not going to do is have you not do something to me because you're mad, because you can't take accountability for your actions and what you do and what you do wrong. So we're not doing that. So I went after I went against him. We have been in an ongoing battle in court that in this November, I decided I don't want to deal with this because this is petty. So I was like, no, we're not doing this. And I just was like, I told my lawyer, if he drops it, I'll drop it. Just to cut ties and be done with it. And it's just that he didn't like that. I forgot about it. I dropped it. I forgot about it. Did some more Ho'oponopono. Did some more revision.
There you go.
And 2 weeks ago, after I started doing cupping, as I started incorporating cupping and Reiki.
Stuff on your back or whatever? Yeah.
Incorporating that and Reiki and shamanic energy healing into my routine as well.
Somatic is, I do that. We do that with people that we work with. Somatic is key.
So I started doing that. I got a phone call from my lawyer randomly, and he was like, oh yeah, will you be willing to drop this? I'm like, I said this in hey Danny, what's up? I said this back in November, and now he wants to, bruh, made my day.
Wow.
Made my day. I was okay. And now it's a smooth tie so that it makes room for what I actually do want, which is my current SP.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, but let me ask you, because that video that you said, and you need to touch on that video.
What video?
The one that I commented on. You need to touch on that video with the about the accountability and the relationship aspect.
Was this the third party one?
I think that's the third party one. That one.
I mean, third. So I guess my question is what aspect of that video? Because there was.
I feel like there's so much of it. Like I feel like there is so much of it in that. Like. In turn, like, because you have the man hearing this from a man is different than just hearing it from another female creator.
I say that a lot. I say that, and I don't want to sound misogynistic. I do say that. I do say that a lot. But you can continue. Or that was it.
So that's why I love when I bring and can connect with the man, the male, and the males that talk about this, because it's different when you're hearing the perspective. Oh, thank you, Danny. It's different from when you hear it from a guy than just hearing it from a woman, because now you're hearing from a guy that actually has done the work himself. Like, this is what, like, don't you want to hear what it would take from a guy if you're manifesting a guy to be in a relationship? Don't you want to hear it from a guy's perspective? Like that's like something that I don't think what most women don't think about.
You know, it's funny. I think, and it's funny you saying this now. I'm glad you're saying it, because whenever men say stuff like this, we get bashed. Like, we get dragged to hell when we say this type of stuff. So I'm glad you're saying it. I tried to touch on it kind of in my videos without trying to get canceled, whatever. But I'm not really afraid to get canceled. But when I talk about it, I try not to be abrasive or aggressive, how a lot of male content creators, especially in the dating space, are. I try to approach it from a more LOA perspective, because most people, what a lot of these LOA coaches don't realize, they focus so much on technique that they miss out on the whole feminine masculine aspect of what makes a technique work, or what makes a relationship work. And this is heterosexual or homosexual or lesbian or whatever. That masculine feminine dynamic is there, and that polarity is there, and that's what makes men attracted to women or women attracted to men, or if you're a lesbian, that makes you. There's always somebody who's more masculine and somebody who's more feminine in a relationship, whether you're gay, straight, heterosexual, like whatever. It's that masculine feminine dynamic is there. So you're very right when you say what you say, Sheila, because I noticed that a lot of, I guess the big people that have kind of blown up since 2019, 2020, because I did my first interview with this stuff on Agnes's channel, and that's kind of how people started knowing me. Like, oh, he manifested his SP back after not hearing for 5 years from her, or whatever the case might be. Mm-hmm. And so from that story, that's how everything started to get pushed, and everybody was like, oh, okay. But I've noticed since 2019, the famous content creators in this genre seem to be women. It seemed to be women dominated, even on TikTok. It seems to be a lot of women giving women advice, and it's needed. It's 1000%. We need that perspective, but we also need, like you said, eloquently, I might add, we need the masculine male perspective because it's different. And I made a video about this a few weeks ago talking about, because I was working with somebody in our mastermind group, and they said to me, they said, yo, Marv, how come it always seems like women are getting their SPs and guys aren't? And I said, that's a damn good question. And so I thought about it, and I said, you know why? I said, you know why I think it is? I said, it's because since the beginning of time, men were inherently doers. We were inherently the people that were taking action, going out conquering the world, going out killing the animals. Like, action is innate in us for men to take action. And LOA, it teaches us to basically be passive and not do anything. And instinctively as a man, we're like, nah, this doesn't feel right. I need to be doing something. I need to be texting her. I need to be chasing her. I need to be pursuing her, because innately that's what we've always done. We've always been the hunters. And women throughout history since the beginning of time have always been the hunted, to use these terms, not to sound misogynistic again.
Oh my God. But
Go ahead.
But that's I forgot who I said it to. I said it to somebody. Inez. Also, Danny said, cancel, you won't be canceled. Don't let the ego kick you outside of appearance.
Shout out Danny.
Yeah, shout out to Danny.
Appreciate that.
Also, Marvin, you should definitely connect with Danny, because he's another really dope male creator that talks about this stuff.
Cool, no doubt.
But I had said to somebody, and I was like, why do I feel like it should always be the woman who chooses and that the men should be chasing? Because if I'm not mistaken, way back when, when there was if we ever watched the freaking movie, not movie, it's a TV, the TV show Bridgerton. Oh
yeah, the old school London show or whatever.
That's how it should be. The woman gets courted.
Right.
Options to choose from, and she gets to choose. That's how it should be. I don't know where we got lost in the sauce these days, where it seems like, Marvin, I know you're not going to take offense to this, where it seems like men want to be the ones that are, most men these days want to be the one that is.
Absolutely.
And it's like, no. It's supposed to be the other way around. Like, did y'all lose some of y'all lose the men gene? Like, I'm confused here. And then don't get me started on the fact that I live in New York, okay? I live in New York. So because I live in New York and I'm from New York, all I know is that hustle mentality, which is great. It's gotten me pretty far. And like you, I'm used, but it also puts me in that masculine energy to do all the time. And so for the first time in my life, I'm like, this is uncomfortable. I'm not used to being and not doing and letting people come to me versus me going to them, or me having to just let them, even money. I'm like, this feels strange and uncomfortable, but in a good way. But it all that energy ties into literally everything. So if one area of your life is a little out of whack, I thought all areas of your life is a little out of whack. And most women, some women don't want, I've seen it in my experience, some of them don't want to take accountability.
Yeah.
And they struggle with that accountability part. But then I also see men that really struggle with that too.
No, yeah, it goes both ways. It's. I think to your point earlier, men and women kind of switch places. They flip. You know, Iyanla Van Zant. Have you ever heard of her, Iyanla Van Zant? She's pretty big. She's a black woman, older. She's probably in her 60s. I want to say. I don't know. I could be wrong because get that wrong, and they get upset at you and you guess their age wrong. But she says nowadays women are men in skirts. That's one of her quotes a lot of times.
And it's not all men, okay?
No,
Be right. It's not all men.
right. But I think you're right. When to your earlier point, it's men have become more submissive for sure, and women also have become more masculine for sure. And there's a for thousands of years we weren't wired that way. We weren't wired that way. But the further I tell people this all the time. The further we get away from hunter gatherer mentality, the further we get away from the masculine feminine dynamic in a way. And that's what's happened in my opinion, is that women feel like they don't need to rely on men the way that they used to because of technology. I don't need a man because I can just call anybody to fix this. I don't need a man to live with me or to stay with me or to go kill my food, hunt my food, yada yada yada. You know what I mean? And vice versa. Guys are thinking to themselves, I don't need to pursue anymore. Look at all these options I got. I'm the man, I'm the prize. And they talk that way a lot of times, but even when they're not, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like I was saying, this person asked me in the group, how come women always tend to get their SP? And I really do believe, or it seems like women always get their SP, manifest them back, whatever. Even if they don't keep them, it always seems like women have a better success rate. And I said this, but I personally think it's because it's a woman's and again, there's a lot of content creators will touch on this stuff that we're talking about. They just technique, just live in it in, just live, but it's a lot more intricate than that. Women, I think it works so well for women because being passive and waiting is in a sense a woman's natural nature. It's in a woman's natural nature to be like, oh, I'm just gonna let him come to me. He should come to me. I'm the prize, because it's been that way. Like, no disrespect, but in my opinion, I think y'all are wired that way, and I think that's okay. Y'all are supposed to be. That's the feminine energy. I don't think women understand. If women can have any man eating out the palm of her hand. Most men, if she understood and accepted that feminine energy, her feminine essence, but femininity in women is demonized nowadays, even by women. Even women, they'll shit on. I've seen videos from like dating videos and stuff where women shit on other women. They're like, oh, you want to be a stay-at-home mom? Get the fuck out of here. You want to be a stay-at-home mom? Nah, you need to be a boss babe. You need to. But instinctively, innately, a lot of women, they do want to be passive. They if they find the right guy, they do want to submit. They do want to be. I'm not gonna say they want to be a stay-at-home mom, but they like the idea of, oh shit, I want to stay home and just keep after the house, because that's a full-time job. Looking after a house is a full-time job. Taking care of kids, that's a full-time job. So you expecting a woman to look after her house, take care of the kids, and work? That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Which is why it was never like that for majority of time until like the last 60 years or 70 years, when all the laws changed back in the 60s and stuff and 70s, and all of these government programs were put into place and all of that type of stuff. But
that's true. Like, we never had that. We didn't have to deal with this like way back when. Like, this was not a thing way back when. So it's like, okay, well, now it's like, I wouldn't mind being a stay-at-home mom. I wouldn't mind being a stay-at-home mom. I wouldn't mind having a soft life.
Right.
Like, I wouldn't mind. Like, who doesn't want a soft life?
Even men, even like men, even men want a soft life, but it's innate in us to not do that. It's innate in us to conquer and to build and what's the next thing? What's the next thing? What's the next thing? That desire is not necessarily, because again, and I'll talk about this in my video that I put. It's different because women, y'all have estrogen, we have testosterone. Testosterone is what makes you want to do shit. It's what makes you want to. It's why men are aggressive. When we get around each other, we hit each other, and we like rough each other up and all that time. It's testosterone. That's what makes us want to conquer. It's what makes us horny all the time. Women don't understand it. Like, why are men always horny? It's testosterone. I give an example in my video of a woman